You're listening to The Black Woman in the Corner Office, the podcast for women who lead, influence, and carry a whole lot more than what shows up in their title. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Stone, and each week we talk leadership, power, community, and what it really takes to rise without losing yourself. If this conversation resonates, go ahead and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hi, I'm Dr. Ebony Stone, and this is The Black Woman in the Corner Office. Hello, and welcome to The Black Woman in the Corner Office. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Stone, and I am, as always, delighted to have a very special guest with me today. We have had a conversation that we probably won't repeat on this podcast, but let's just say I know our conversation is going to be great. It's going to be a good, down-to-earth conversation. And so let me do this. Let me introduce her by the official bio, and then we're going to ask her to introduce herself. All right? So I'm joined today by Dr. Nikia Smith, who is a board-certified anesthesiologist, wellness coach, and retreat facilitator. She's also the founder of She is Forged by Fire, a transformative wellness brand that helps high-achieving women of color reclaim their peace, their power, and their purpose. With over a decade of experience in the high-stress world of medicine, and I'm sure it was, Nikia brings a deeply informed lens to conversations around burnout, boundaries, and emotional restoration that is so needed today. She guides women, especially Black women in leadership and healthcare, through the exhaustion of constantly being everything to everyone. Nikia equips her clients with the tools to say no without guilt. And I'm going to share a story about that in just a little bit. To build lives rooted in their own values and to choose softness over survival. Through retreats, coaching, and community care, she creates spaces for women to pause, reset, and imagine what thriving truly looks like. Welcome, Nikia.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and get into this conversation since we've already had two really great ones. I'm like,
Yes,
this is so good.
yes. So I'm going to share my story about no in a little
Mhm,
bit. I want to get to that. But before we do, why don't we
mhm,
just start with you kind of sharing your background, how you got to where you are? I mean, a board certified anesthesiologist, like that's big
mhm.
stuff. And then you move into coaching and retreats. And so tell us a little bit about what life looked like for you walking into becoming an anesthesiologist and to where you are now.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'll just start off by saying I was that child from a very young age that always knew that she wanted to be a doctor. So I did the hard work, got the good grades, and did all the extracurriculars to be on this path. And I luckily, fulfilled it for myself. And it was very nice. It felt good to say I wanted to do this and then do it and then complete it. But becoming an anesthesiologist, especially as a Black woman, was definitely a difficult journey.
I can only
Medicine and
imagine.
especially, yeah, like medicine and especially anesthesia is full of white men,
Mhm.
and so I'm like a minority. And it was just weird because I went to medical school at Howard, so I was trained around Black excellence, and then I did intern year at Howard, so I spent a full year being in a hospital full of Black patients and Black and brown doctors. So when I stepped out of that world, it was a reality check,
Oh
to say
wow. I
to say the least.
Yeah, I never even considered that, right?
Mhm.
I have encouraged a number of students that I know, like hit the HBCUs,
Yeah.
for undergrad or grad school, that type of thing. But I never thought about the medical school part of it and
Yeah,
how that would be a huge kind of culture shift coming
it
out of school.
is.
Yeah.
I'm now 15 years out of medical school, and I'm still some people's first Black doctor, Black female
Mhm.
doctor, or female doctor. And coming from Howard, it just was never that way, like you're never anyone's only Black doctor at Howard, first or
Right.
only. So I'm still living that experience. And it's nice in some capacities to be inspiring and encouraging to people to say that they've never seen that. And it's definitely is a different part of medicine. Like, I thought, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna help people, but not just by being myself and just showing a Black face and being a Black presence to them in their moment of, surgery, vulnerability. So that's just a second tier. But I ended up here, like on this with you, because as an anesthesiologist, and especially during COVID, I burned out. Um, and I burned out hard to the point where I
Yes.
was just like, I'm leaving medicine. I'm working at Trader Joe's. Like, I'm done with this whole
Oh,
thing. I'm
wow.
done. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about burnout. I
Mhm,
think 2020 and the years that followed,
mhm.
uh, it was the as they say, the straw that broke the camel's back, right?
Yeah.
In your bio, I read that you help Black women stop being everything to everyone, but that's
Hmm.
that's what we do, right? And so
Hmm.
2020, I know for myself, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I know for a
Yeah.
lot of people, it was you're sitting at home, you can't go anywhere, you're forced to be kind of with your own thoughts. We're watching George Floyd. We're trying to take care of everyone. You got kids in school that you're trying to teach
Hmm.
while you work, and people around are sick and people are dying. And
Hmm.
um, can we talk a little bit about burnout? Because I think people have a misconception about burnout, and they think
Hmm.
burnout is just like, oh, I'm tired. I
Yeah.
need a break. I need a week long cruise. And burnout is not that. It is not that. So can you kind of explain what burnout looked like for you?
Hmm. Yeah, burnout is definitely deeper than exhaustion. And I always tell that to my clients and anybody I talk to. The exhaustion might be the first sign that you notice, right? Because you can be like, oh, I'm tired. I'm going to do nothing this weekend. And you'll do nothing but rest and you'll still be tired. And that's because burnout is deeper than that physical. Exhaustion. For me, there's a lot of different emotionalities tied to burnout where you kind of can go, I think, on either side of the spectrum, where you can become kind of numb. So I think initially I was numb. Like a
Mhm.
lot of women are numb. They can get through the day without being very reactive. It's like this has to get done, this has to get done, this has to get done. And you're not reacting to things. And it actually is kind of helpful at first, right? Because you're not reactive. So you're able to just push through. But then you kind of realize that this non-reactivity with things happening around you also seeps into your own self. So you don't even kind of know how you're feeling. And I kind of felt like I was moving on autopilot,
Yeah.
or like autopilot is just like the best way to explain. Like you can move on autopilot and just look up at the end of the day and you realize you got all these things done and you have no feelings about anything that happened that day. You just know that it was accomplished, and then you
Yes.
go to sleep and you start it all over again. And so I was like, yeah, I definitely got heavy into that. And then towards the end, right before I completely broke down, I was becoming a little bit more irritable, a little bit more short tempered. There's something called compassion fatigue, where it's like you're giving so much of your compassion and empathy and understanding to everyone around you that you become kind of short tempered with yourself or those closest to you.
Yeah.
And so that was actually the first time when I realized something was wrong, because I kind of have normalized the exhaustion. I kind of felt like the numbness was helping me push through. But then when I was becoming really irritable, I was just like, oh, like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you, or even snapping at myself for forgetting where the keys were, just little small things. And so that's when I started to realize something is wrong. I'm not my normal self. And then started doing the research into burnout and realizing that it is deeper than sleep. And obviously, like a week away will not do anything. It really can start your recovery if you take a week and do nothing. But if you ask yourself, anybody I ask honestly, I'm like, if you took a week off of work, would you truly do nothing, or would you be in your house reorganizing, cleaning, going to the doctor, doing all the laundry? So
Yep.
No Black woman I ever talked to has taken a week off and truly taken a week off. They just stopped their work job and did their secondary job, which is everything else. So
Everything
I'm
else,
like,
yes.
I was like, you're never going to take a true week off. So like, let's get that out of our minds and let's just focus on how we can really, create the life that will help us recover from burnout and not go back into it.
Absolutely. I remember being on sick leave, maybe 2017, I think. I had surgery.
Hmm.
And so I was on sick leave. And not to get into too much detail, but I had an incision, right? And
Hmm.
so when you have an incision, you know, there is recovery. And I remember
Hmm.
thinking, okay, I only have 8 weeks. And so
Hmm.
I need this incision to heal because since I have 8 weeks, I need to get these closets cleaned out.
Hmm.
My thought was not like Ebony heal. It was how fast can this incision heal so I can clean up. And I remember like I would be like, I can't do a whole lot, but I can get that one cabinet. And
Hmm.
so I would go clean out the cabinet. And then I was like, okay, I accomplished something. It's like, no, you did not. You literally just got, for lack of a better word, you just got cut open and stitched closed. Like you need to
Hmm.
sit down.
Sit
But
down.
yes, I just say that to say like we don't take time off,
Mm-mm.
and we take time off from one job to do
Hmm.
another. And so I have found out I that people don't understand burnout. So thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that. Can you share with us what happened that made you say, I'm going from anesthesiologist to
Hmm.
I'm going to work at Trader Joe's?
You know, when I look back at it, I felt like that was the burnout moment, right? And obviously it was, but it was just the peak of my burnout. And so as I learned more about burnout, I describe it as a pot of water. You get that
Mm,
big pot, you're making a big pot of spaghetti, you put that water on, it takes a long time to start boiling, even on really high heat. And that's how our burnout is. We are under high heat for a long time. We have high pressure jobs, we have families, we have a lot of things that we're managing. And so for a long time, we're under that high pressure and we're fine. And then we start to get that little simmer, and then we can quickly go from that simmer to boiling that pot over. And so
mm.
when I explain
Great
that to women, they're like,
analogy.
well, I feel okay. And I'm like, yeah, because you're still here. And that's, I want to catch you here. I
Yes.
want to catch you when you're still okay or when you're starting to simmer. I don't want you to get to the point where I was boiling over, because that's when you want to burn it all and walk away. And I'll
Mhm.
talk to women and they'll be like, the same thing, like, so you had surgery, like, and you were supposed to rest and you didn't. But women will say, well, if maybe if I just hurt myself or got into an accident, or maybe if I was just this for 2 weeks, I'll be able to rest. And I'm like, you
Mm,
don't need to hurt yourself or get injured or get sick to have permission to rest. If you feel like you're at that point where you need rest, take it, because we
yes.
keep pushing through. And it's like, we don't need that excuse. And then even when you, and I said it to them, I was like, even if you had that excuse, you still wouldn't rest. So stop telling yourself that lie. You would break your wrist and you would be not working and you would be at home cleaning up all your closets. You still wouldn't be resting. So let's just let that one go and just figure out a way to dial back that heat and not go into that burnout. So it's a lot of real conversations, because when you think about, like, yeah, I would do that. Like, oh, I'm gonna be off for a week. Anytime I'm off for a week and I say I'm gonna do nothing, all I do is schedule things to do. I fill it in
Yes.
with everything. So it's like I'm not doing anything. I'm just doing other stuff. And so that's just like a real conversation that we have to have with ourselves.
How do we help one another learn to give ourselves permission
Hmm.
to one, rest, to two, say no, and to three, focus on ourselves when we need to versus everyone
Yeah.
else?
I think we help each other just by giving that permission. And we're grown women, we're highly educated, we are bosses. We don't need permission, we don't need validation. But sometimes when you just hear it unexpectedly, it takes that pressure off. And so me, as a person that's childless by choice, and women are having high pressure jobs in families with kids and parents and all of this stuff, I always say, listen, I don't have children and I still don't clean my house. I don't have children and I still don't grocery shop. So if you think that's something that you have to do, then you don't, because I have less responsibility than you do and I still don't take on those tasks myself. So just stop. Like that's
Mm,
going to buy, how much time is that going to buy you back if you feel like you don't have to do that thing yourself, especially if you don't enjoy it. Now, if this is something you enjoy, like if you enjoy grocery shopping and creating the menus, then keep it. But if you don't enjoy doing the laundry, get rid of it, figure that out. And I just try to give women the permission, like that will give you 30 minutes. Those 30 minutes, if you're not doing laundry, is 30 minutes for you to do something, go in your garden, take a nap, read a book, to do something that actually restores and rejuvenates you. So I think that just giving permission, even when it's not asked for, but just it just helps other women just think differently. Like it took someone telling me you don't have to do it that way to be like, oh, you're right. I don't have to do it that way. But we're kind of programmed to function in a certain way, which is the good girl, the high achiever, the don't ask any questions, the go with it, push through. And we have to just kind of deprogram that mentality and reprogram the mentality of like, it's okay if I stop. It's not a failure. I'm not quitting, or whatever it is that you keep telling yourself is the problem.
yes, yes. Can I tell you that I literally just told my girlfriends, I call them my
Hmm.
business besties. I was like, you guys, I'm going through these closets and I'm giving 90% of this stuff away. And
Hmm.
they were like, what? And I was like, here's the thing. I don't wear, why do I have all of this stuff? It's
Hmm.
just here. Or so I have a bunch of stuff that I just never wear. And
Yep.
then I have too much that I do wear. I don't even have to do laundry for
Hmm.
like weeks at a time. And then when it's time to do it, I'm so overwhelmed because
Hmm.
I'm like, where did all this laundry come from? Well, Ebony, it came from the last 4 or 5 weeks worth of clothes that
Hmm.
you wore and didn't. So seriously, I'm at a point where I feel like society told me I had to have all the things, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't want all the things. I literally want to rid myself of all of the things
Hmm.
and just live a very simple life. I don't need,
Yeah.
well, I might need the shoes because I like the shoes, but I don't need all the bags. I don't need all the clothes. It is too much. And then you talk about grocery shopping. I hate grocery shopping. I hate it with a
I hate
passion.
it. I hate it.
I absolutely hate it. My kids will tell you that I literally am like, make a list. Now that they're older, it's great. I'm like, make a list and go get it. I'll give you the
Mm-hmm.
money. Just go get it. I don't want to have to do it. I don't want to have to go to the store. I don't want to have to put it away. I don't want to have to even think about what's for dinner. I don't know. Go figure it out. I don't
I
know.
agree.
And that's
I hate it.
okay. That's
Hmm.
okay. And when you were talking, I'm gonna tell you who came to mind. Tracy Ellis Ross came to
Hmm.
mind. I just watched an episode of Baby This is Kiki
Hmm.
with Tracy and Kiki is a great episode, but her just talking about freedom, I think is so important, and we
Hmm.
haven't. Many of us haven't gotten there, and I think the conversations that you and I are having, the conversations that Kiki and Tracy are having, conversations that are happening on telephone calls and at restaurant tables across the country are important, and we have to make sure that everybody is hearing them
Hmm.
so that we can give ourselves permission to
Yeah.
just be us. Permission. So I said I was going to share this story. I'm going to share this story, and then I got more questions for you. Yesterday, I got included in something that I didn't even ask to be included in. Right? Got
Hmm.
included, and I'm known as one to get it done, right? And so I got included, and all the messages were going back and forth, and blah blah blah. And then they hit the whole group with, "Yep, we can split the price. Everybody splits the price. This is how much it'll be." And I'm thinking, wait, I didn't even ask to be included, and now you want my money? And I felt myself getting anxious, and I was, I got irritated, and then all
Hmm.
of a sudden I was just like, just say no,
Yeah.
just say no. And so I did. I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be able to do that. And the response was like, oh, okay, no problem. We just wanted to make sure you knew, just in case you wanted to be involved. And they moved on. And I'm thinking to myself, how many people in this group
Hmm.
of people want to say no and have not, and are going
Yeah.
to be stressed out and frustrated, right? So I think we just have to give ourselves permission. So when you finally said, okay, I'm burnt out, I need to back away, I need to
Hmm.
figure out what's next for me, what steps did you take to figure it out? I'm
That's
sure
so
you didn't
funny
just
because
instantly go
it's a lot of
stop doing
steps.
things.
It's a lot of steps, but the first step was saying no, right?
Yeah,
So that was a perfect segue
yeah,
because in my, frustration and emotional breakdown, there comes a point, like a reckoning where you're just like, well, it's my life. So like what role did I play in getting here?
yeah,
And, I can't just say, oh, they just made me work so hard. They were asking me to work more, and I was saying yes because I wanted to be a team player. I wanted to be a reliable coworker. I wanted to, be the strong person that could handle stuff and I could keep up with the boys or whatever it was I was telling
mhm,
myself. So the first step was just like saying no. And again, a friend of mine was like, "Well, how come when they asked you to do that extra stuff, you said yes?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think I can say no. Like we're never taught that you have a capacity to say no at work, right? Like it's not something that is learned. It's not something that's taught, something you have to learn on the hard way usually."
yeah,
And so she was like, "Just say no." And I was like, "I've never said no at work." And she was like, just say no, like and so like she just gave me that permission, and it's hard. I tell people all the time, saying no is simple. It's very simple concept. We all can understand it, but it's a hard thing to do.
yes,
And you have to practice it like you're working out. Like it's exercise. You exercise that muscle, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And so it's just like repetition. So first it's like I wrote like five different ways I could say no without saying no, right? I
mm,
was like, I'm unavailable. Let me check my calendar and get back to you. I'll have to follow up and I'll have to follow up with, my other obligations to see if I can fit this in. Like I would never say no outright. It was always
okay,
kind of like, I'll get back to you kind of thing. And hopefully they would forget. And then I'd be like, oh, I checked, I really can't, or I don't have time or whatever. That's the first way to ease into it. And then as I started doing it more and more, I was like, oh no, I'm unavailable. Like, no, I'm unavailable just became like my standard. So
okay,
now people were like, are you available? Like they ask me that because I'm always like, no, I'm unavailable for that. So it became a practice. And like I said, that was really the first thing. It was saying no because in saying yes, I was overextending myself. In saying yes, I was neglecting myself. In saying yes to them, I no longer had time to rest properly, to do whatever I need to do to restore myself, which was the working out, which totally went to the wayside, eating, drinking water regularly. Like I basically neglected all human functions that were required for me to be optimized. And I'm like, why am I like neglecting myself in order to be seen as a team player? And that's when I kind of realized, like, that's something that had been reinforced, and I had kind of embodied and took that in throughout being a good student and being a good athlete and being a good coworker. And so it's just like, why does that make me good by just saying yes? That doesn't make me good, it just makes me agreeable. And so these are things I had to like realize and then kind of unlearn. And so that was really the first step. It was just saying no to anything that I felt would overextend myself, which was
yeah.
how you regain that time and energy that help you recover from burnout.
It's so interesting, right? When I think of medical doctors,
Hmm.
I just expect you to be tired. Like that is what all the imagery
Hmm.
shows you. You're
Yep.
tired in school, you're tired at work. Like it's like, hey, they gotta get 20 years of being tired
Hmm.
before they can kind of relax. And so you're talking, and I'm like, why is that? You don't have to be tired. You're
No,
not optimized when you're
we're not.
tired, you know?
But you're trained to push through it, honestly. Like you are trained to function with suboptimal rest, and then it just becomes part of the how it is, like you said. So it becomes the norm. Everybody around you is tired. Whenever they ask you how you're feeling, like, "Oh, I'm tired," like it just became normal.
Yeah. The
And I
only
was like, I don't
medical
want that to
doctor,
be I don't want
the
that normal
only
anymore.
only medical doctor I can recall ever seeing kind of like in the media and television and that
Hmm.
type of thing that wasn't tired was Dr. Huxtable, right?
Hmm.
I think I saw him in his office maybe 4 or 5 times throughout the whole show. right? He
Mhm.
might deliver a baby or something. But um, most when you think about medical dramas and all that, you see the doctors sleeping in the rooms. I'm just curious, why do you think it became that way? Why do you think people see? I think people see some type of value in it, but
Mhm.
it's really dangerous, right?
Yeah.
You don't want your medical professionals tired all the time.
It is dangerous, and we actually get a lecture. All the residents are required to have a lecture on the dangers of sleep deprivation and how,
Mm,
like, a certain number after, like, working or staying awake for like 18 to 20 hours, you start to function as if you're drunk. And then as you like stay awake longer for like 24 more hours, it's different levels of like on the alcohol scale it's like 0.8 or
yeah.
whatever, so it's like the longer you stay up, the higher it is on that scale that you are functioning as if you are intoxicated. So we
Mhm.
actually have that lecture and we learn about it and we still stay awake. And I do think that there's something to be said for like, hard work, repetition, and all of those things that we
Yes.
learn. But I don't think that being sleep deprived is optimal, which there has been a trend as since I've completed, so it's been about 10, 15 years. So the trend has been more to wellness and more to rest
Good.
and that kind of thing. So I am hopeful that the trend will continue. But back in the day, it was just like it was kind of like a haze, right? It was just seen as like a rite of passage. And
Mm,
if I struggle, so then you have to struggle. And that's the kind of thing that carries through. And it's not the best way to go about it, I would say. But I am happy that we have been making changes.
good, good. And
Hmm.
so you hit the wall and you're like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Hmm.
Um, what clicked in you that said, you know what, I'm going to help other women? And then why did you decide to go in the direction that you went? Before we continue, if you've ever felt the pressure to perform, produce, and prove while carrying everything else, I wrote The Power of the Pause for you. It's a practical guide to leading with clarity instead of burnout, and it's available now, along with corner office apparel designed for women who mean business. Check the show notes for your link so you can get your copy or you can get your t shirt. Oh, and if your organization is looking for a host, facilitator, or speaker who understands leadership and lived experience, you can book me directly at drebonystone.com. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Right. Um, Overall, it never really clicked in my head that I was going to help other women. It
Mm,
just kind of evolved naturally, I guess,
okay.
based on who I was. So as I was doing my own personal work, I was like saying no. I started working out again, started trying to drink my water and not just eat fast food or convenient food. I was reading and listening to podcasts and just trying to understand more about burnout and burnout recovery. Um, I've always been kind of a vocal person. If someone asks me a question, I'm going to answer it honestly. And that part of about hiding particular parts of my life was just never there for me, luckily, because I know people sometimes have to have a perception of like, I'm a doctor, so I don't want to act like I'm struggling, or I don't want to tell people I'm struggling. But I was just like, I'm a doctor and I'm struggling. And like, yeah, I make good money, but I feel like I'm a slave. I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like I have the golden handcuffs, we call it in medicine. So I was just verbalizing this stuff mostly to my friends because like, they finally started asking, okay, this is just a derail quickly, but listen, when someone asks you how you're doing, if they're truly a friend or truly someone that you can trust, please don't just tell them fine. Like we just, oh,
Yes.
I'm fine. Like you're not fine. So people were asking me how I'm doing, and I finally stopped saying that lie that I'm fine. I was like, actually, I feel like I'm burnt out. I feel like I want to leave medicine. I feel like I'm having all these emotions. I'm conflicted. And that just opened up the door for real conversations. And when again, it gave my friends permission because I said it and they were like, yeah, me too, girl, I'm struggling. But when I look
Mm,
out there, everybody says that they're fine. Everybody's just doing their thing. So I thought maybe I'm the only one.
Yeah.
And so to be the first domino to fall, I guess I just that's kind of what I did. I was like, actually, no, I'm done. I'm applying for Trader Joe's. I want something mindless. I want when I walk into Trader Joe's, people are always smiling at me. They're always happy. They're giving you cheese. They're telling you to smell the flowers. And I was like, that's the kind of energy I need to walk into every day. So that's why Trader Joe's. But I didn't go that route, but it just made me realize, like, I'm walking in with dread. I'm walking in with exhaustion. I'm walking in with just depletion.
Yes.
And how do I change that? And so helping the others just went through me helping myself and just being willing to talk about it.
Yeah. I that's a beautiful thing, right? I love it. Yep. Here you go. Here's some cheese. Smell the flowers, right? Yes.
Listen, I'd be like, wine, cheese, flowers, good snacks. I
Yes.
mean, what's
It's
there to hate
great.
about
It's
Trader? I
great.
love it.
Yes. I'm reminded of a comment that someone made, and I'm gonna tell you, I felt really bad for her.
Hmm.
And it was about kind of like me sharing my story. Um, and I really, when the comment was made, or I found out the comment was made, it wasn't made to me. I really
Hmm.
just wanted to go put my arms around this person. I just wanted to hug her because I was like, oh, she's in a bad place.
Hmm.
Because she said, I just feel like Ebony is just like, oh, woe is me. And I'm like, nope, that's not it. And I just want to hug you because I feel like the wall is not coming down.
Hmm.
For you to hear my story or women like me. I don't think it was necessarily my story. I think it
Hmm.
was just stories like ours. They put a mirror in front of her that she did not want to see.
Right.
Um, and so I'm happy that your friends were like, hey, what's going on? Right? I had
Hmm.
people in my life that were like, yeah, you're not okay. And I'm
Hmm.
like, you know what? I'm not okay. And it took me a while, just like you're saying, it took you a while. Like I feel great now, but there was
Hmm.
no way that it was happening in a week or even a month or
Hmm.
3 months for that matter. I
Hmm.
needed, I had to do some work, right? I needed some work. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now
Hmm.
and how you're helping women now to get to this place.
Yeah, it like you said, it does take time. And when I quit that job, I did the work before I quit the job, and I realized, I wasn't living in alignment with my values. I'm a person that says I value family, friends, community, and connection, but I was spending so much time at work that I was too depleted and exhausted from my family, friends, and community. So how is this working out? Obviously, if you looked at my life, I feel like she values going to work and making money because that's what she's doing the most. So I did that work and realized I wasn't living in alignment with my values. And I figured out a way to change jobs and start to live more in alignment. And I took 3 months off. And after 3 months, I felt maybe 50 or 60% better. I agree with you. After 3 months, I said I could definitely have taken at least three more or probably a full year to feel like myself again. But I at least got to the point where I was like halfway there. And when I was re entering the workplace with a different mindset, with different boundaries and different skills. Because the skill of saying no and the skill of honoring myself are skills, because we don't learn those. We don't learn
No,
those at all. So that's how I kind of eased myself back into it. And so changing jobs and working a different way helped me kind of reestablish some more of myself and, get rid of that numbness, that irritability. I was not waking up every day with dread. I was not waking up every morning already tired still from the night before. And I was not going through my day thinking about, can this day just be over so I can go to sleep and just start it all over again. So I knew I was headed in the right direction. And so in doing that work, again, sharing my story, the retreats and the coaching just happened naturally because I was doing it for myself. People were like, can I talk to you about your story and how you're making these changes? People could see the difference. They could feel the difference in my energy, see the difference in my face and my demeanor. And they were asking me questions. And that just kind of unfolded naturally. Again, the retreat, I was like, well, I'm going to go away for a week and do this work. And just again, talking about it, being unafraid to talk about it. All my friends were like, "Can I come? Can we do this? Like, let's make it a group." And so then it went from a solo wellness reset to an annual wellness retreat. And so here we are. So it's just like these things weren't planned, but they just unfolded naturally and they felt really aligned and really meaningful. And so that's just kind of how I have pushed through. And it feels a lot better that way because it doesn't feel like I'm forcing anything. It just feels like as things are coming up, I'm just taking the opportunity to like live in my truth and live in my power. And so that's what I love so much about this work now. I still practice medicine now. I'm working part time so that I have time for my other endeavors, which are family, friends, community, and connection,
Yeah.
storytelling, and just trying to help women, especially Black women in medicine, find their way. I can always speak to the point that I thought I was going to leave medicine, and some people do need to leave medicine, but some people just need to work differently within it. And I think that that's the best because there's plenty of proof and research that women physicians take, well, they not take, not, I won't say take better care, but women physicians take immaculate care of their patients. Those patients have better outcomes, better longevity, and just overall a better a better time in the system, I would say, right? Like,
Yes.
because you're in the system. So if you have a woman physician, your time in the system, all of everything that you have to do throughout the system runs more smoothly. But it is at the expense of us because we're putting so much into it. So I was like, we are doing great for our patients. We need to do equally as great for ourselves. And
Yes.
so that's just kind of where I've landed, and I'm loving it here.
I love that the retreats naturally evolve, right?
Yeah.
Um, I believe that when things naturally evolve like that, I am a woman of faith. It's nothing but God, right?
Hmm.
You find it to be easier,
Yeah.
like you're not forcing it. You're not out here like, oh my God, I gotta sell 50 tickets. I gotta
Hmm.
make this happen. People are just coming to you, right?
Yeah.
I think I may have shared with you with the podcast. I'm like, I'm not stressing out about this podcast. Like, we're gonna have
Yeah.
conversations. If the light is wrong, the light is wrong. It'll be all right.
Hmm.
If the sound is a little off, but you can still hear the conversation, it'll be okay. I'm
Yep.
not gonna stress out about it. And it's just going to come naturally. So I have a
Hmm.
question for you about people entering, especially Black women entering
Hmm.
the medical field. I will share. I have a little cousin who is 28, maybe,
Hmm.
and she is a physical therapist. My daughter right now is an undergrad, and the other
Hmm.
day hit me with, I think when I finish, maybe I'll just go on to be a doctor. She's considering being an
Yeah.
OBGYN.
Hmm.
Um, and she's still making decisions though. But as you think about Black women going into medicine, getting
Hmm.
ready to go into into medical school, or just coming out of medical school and going into the medical field, what advice do you have for them so that their journey, along their journey, they don't hit that wall?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I always tell them it's gonna be hard. It's a hard, medicine is just hard in general, and it's gonna be harder for you as a woman and as a Black woman. And it rings to that advice we got back in the day. Remember, to be twice as good and work twice as hard to be seen as
Yes,
equal. And I think a lot of us have embodied that. And I think that there is something to be said. Um, I think that's why we have excelled so much as a
yes,
demographic, Black women. Um, so but to also not do it at the expense of yourself is what I would say, right? You do have to do a little bit more. People are not going to consider you their equal. People are not going to consider you as excellent or as educated or as any other adjective as your white counterparts. So you will be proving, but also remember what you did it for and don't neglect yourself. Like, you are here, you are a face. There's plenty of people who are going to respect and admire and look up to you, but you have to take care of yourself. So, like, this, like, people will tell you that, like, oh, do everything, be everything. Like, no, there is a space and time for everything, but like, again, like I'm going to say it one more time, take care of yourself. Because when you look back, if someone looked back at me and said they wanted my life 5 years ago, I would have told them, hell no, you do not want this life. I am exhausted. I don't feel good about anything. I'm kind of just numb. I'm out of it. I'm moving on autopilot. Like I'm not really happy. I'm just surviving.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what my turning point was. I don't want any of these women to think that they have to get to that point.
Yeah. Yes.
So you can be good and you can be great at being a doctor, you can be great at patient care, you can be great at studying, you can be great at taking your tests, and you can be equally as good as putting all of that energy into yourself. Realizing that when you take care of yourself, your body, your well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, it actually makes you a better doctor. So you're not neglecting those, those skills by taking care of yourself. You're actually like reinforcing and amplifying those skills.
Absolutely. I love it. So, is the next retreat already planned?
Yeah, so I have
Is it
actually a
full?
few. I have a few retreats.
Okay.
I have one in September. There's two spots left for September. I also have one in November that we have just opened the doors to. So anybody that is in healthcare in any capacity, especially women and women of color in healthcare, can come out to these retreats. And then the next one will be in March of 27. So I'm just steady trying to live in this mission, and serve these women and let us all be connected so that we know that we're not alone as we experience these aggressions, macro and micro,
Yes.
as we continue to impact and change lives.
Where are the retreats and what can people expect if they go?
Yes. Come. So the one in September is at Miraval, Austin. So that is a luxury wellness resort. So you're going to expect some good service because we deserve to be pampered and catered. Some amazing, delectable, and healthy food. We are going to have some CME, which is continuing medical education lectures that are centered around you and your well-being. And then you'll have access to all the amenities of the resort. So there's yoga classes, spa. Like I think last year people did aerial yoga. um,
Mm,
I did um I did aerial yoga. I did a tarot card reading. There's all different kinds of wellness classes that you can experience. So it's like whatever you feel like you might need in this moment.
okay.
Um, the retreat in November is actually in Warm Springs, Arkansas. So it'll be my first time on co-hosting a retreat there with my fellow physician. And Warm Springs has a very special history. If you kind of believe in the healing, like the healing of nature, the all of the different I want to say chemicals, but the different I'm blanking on the word now, but like all the sulfur and the different things that are in the water that help naturally heal and restore. Because that's
Yes.
what the warm springs are about, right? And then this is just going to be a very nature forward event where we're going to have again CME lectures on you and your well-being, sound bowls, Reiki healing, and mindful meditations out in nature, going to the warm springs and just absorbing the warmth and the electrolytes from the water and just hopefully just leaving feeling a sense of renewal and connection.
Yes. Yes. I love it. And you know what I also love about it is the continuing medical education
Hmm.
because that may mean that you don't have to pay for it out of your pocket. Somebody else can pay for it
No.
for you, right?
Yes. I
I
love
love
offering
that.
CME for that reason. If you are a
Yes.
W-2 employed physician or healthcare worker, then you usually have education funds and education time, which you can use. And if you're a 1099 contract worker and you're working in healthcare, then it is a tax write-off.
I absolutely love that. Okay, so I gotta ask because I
Mm-hmm.
have a ton of friends who are either who are also in like psychology and counseling, and so they can come as well, right?
Yes, they can
This is
come.
so amazing.
Yes, we have worked hard to expand our education credit offerings, and that's what part of like growing my business has been like from physicians to just healthcare providers, because I find that the stories are resonating with so many, and our stories are more similar than we think, especially
Oh,
being a
for sure.
Black woman.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, before I ask you my favorite question to ask all of my
Mhm.
guests, I have one more question for you, which is, what have I not asked you that you want to share with the audience? Is there anything that you want to share that maybe I didn't hit on?
I think we touched on this briefly, but I do want to explicitly say this. It did not take you a week, a weekend, or even a month to burn out. And if you're still in those early stages of just exhaustion, now is the time to start recovery. You're not going to recover in a weekend and or a week, especially the type of trips y'all be taking, because y'all just be having fun. It's not restful. But if you
Yeah.
realize that it takes time to burn out and it takes time to recover, you can be very intentional about it. And then, secondly, it's not done in isolation. You start
Mhm.
off in isolation, maybe sleeping more, reading, kind of restoring yourself in your garden or doing yoga or whatever is restorative for you. But true recovery happens in community. So, like, once you hit that point, start talking, start sharing, start meeting women. That's where you'll find yourself get your most energized and you're most like rejuvenated.
Yes, I love that. We kick this season off with the episode called When Systems Fail Us, Community Sustains Us.
Hmm.
Because community is just so incredibly important.
It
So I
truly
love
is.
all of that. Yes, yes. I can't, it'll be okay with you if I call you a little later on in the year and ask how the retreats went. I
Yes, of
am going
course.
to personally send your information about your retreats to a few people that I think
Hmm. Thank you.
can benefit from it that are in the medical field.
Hmm.
If you ever expand and I don't have to be in the medical field, let me know and I'll be right there with you
Yes.
guys.
I know I'm
For
working on
sure.
it.
Okay.
Got some.
Okay, cool. So, my favorite question,
Mhm.
when you look back over your life and somebody approaches you and they say, Dr. Nikia, like, this is so interesting. We just want to make a movie about the
Mhm.
story of your life. What do you think that story would be called and who would play you?
Oh man. What would it be called? I don't know. Like for a while I was thinking it might be called Burn It All Down. I'm like, but there was a little bit of burning, but
Yeah,
I still think that that's part of it, and I think that there's something to be said for burning it all down, but still building back up. And they like call it prescribed burns in like forestry, like where they burn the forest down and let it come back
yes,
stronger.
yes.
And I also love Phoenix and like the way that they get burned and they rise. So it'd be something along the lines of maybe a phoenix or burning something down and coming back stronger. Um, who would play me?
Mm.
That is a serious question. I I would have to say like for energy wise, I'd be like Issa Rae,
Wow.
Because I just feel like that she could do the serious and also like how I'm just like laughing and lighthearted
She
and
could, yes, I can
she
see that.
could.
Yes.
Then I would also say for all of my life growing up, people thought that I looked like the Tia and Tamara Mowry. I don't know
Mm.
that I have seen it, but people have always said that to me. So I was like, I could see one of them playing me maybe. But I probably would say Issa Rae for energy alone.
Okay. If you had to go Issa Rae, I can see 100%.
Hmm.
If it was Tia or Tamara, which one? They're so different.
They are different. And I feel like, I don't know, I would probably have to say Tamara. I just feel like in my heart, I'm more of like a more goofy laughing person. And I think that
Yes.
she just gives me more of that like laughy, smiley energy that I feel like
Yes.
I have.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So Issa Rae, Tamara
Mm.
Mowry. If you guys are interested in a really cool story, Dr.
Yes,
Nikia's
let's do
story is
it.
out there. Yep. Let's do it.
Hmm.
Let's do it. So listen, thank you so much for being here. I
Hmm.
absolutely have to tell my audience if you don't take anything else away from this conversation, what I'm going to ask you to take away from this conversation is that you can say no. You can
Hmm.
absolutely say no, and you deserve to care for yourself.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, listen, thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. I'm looking forward to all the great things that you're going to do and that you are doing. We're going to drop in the show notes your website so that
Hmm.
folks can go to your retreat so they can get in touch with you and see all of the cool things that you're doing. Keep us posted. We can follow you and all of that stuff. I'm super excited and I just really appreciate you being here.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys, you know what to do. Until 2 weeks from now, when we drop another episode, keep spreading that Black Girl Magic on everything. We'll see you in a couple
Yes.
weeks. Bye bye. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another Black woman who needs this reminder. And don't forget to subscribe. You'll find links to my book, apparel, and speaking information in the show notes. Until next time, lead with intention and give yourself permission to pause. And you know what else? Keep spreading that Black girl magic on everything you do.